a meager living, but I was still doing it. But it was just the passion, and I feel like that's where you're at. And you want to talk about a counterculture going mainstream. Skateboarding took decades to be on the radar of mainstream media or acceptance. Bitcoin's only been around 10 years, a little more than 10 years, and you've taken over a city. I think your trajectory is a little bit faster than ours.
Well, we have a monetary component that's pretty compelling, and so it makes it a bit easier. But for me, you were one of my childhood heroes, so first of all, it's just such an honor to be on stage with you and having to get to know you over the past few years.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But I remember really looking up to you as a kid because I looked at skateboarding culture and, it was a bunch of misfits, miscreants, especially in my town. We were harassed by the cops. And I looked to you, and I saw this guy that was part of this counterculture, but you weren't like a hardcore punk. You weren't like getting hammered. And I feel like there was this big punk outlier culture that even within that counterculture, you were kind of an outlier. And is that right? Is that
a little bit. I think it was more also my age. So when I got into it and when I started being successful, I turned pro at 14. Most of the other pros were older, like 18, 20-ish. And so I was this weird kid with this weird style. And they used to say that I did circus tricks because I was more focused on tricks than, looking cool when I did it. And so, yeah, there was definitely, I was an outsider in this outsider activity, which was isolating, but at the same time, it gave me a fire to prove myself. And so once skateboarding got a little more popular, I already knew what it was like to be an outsider. I already knew what it was like to get a lot of negative feedback. So I just pushed through. And so, yeah, you're right, absolutely. But also, I embraced the idea that skateboarding was for misfits. I felt like an outsider and a misfit as a kid. So I found my community and my tribe in skateboarding and at the skate park. And I still advocate for that. Skateboarding is a place to belong, no matter who you are, where you're from. I'm proud that it's come this far. It's been crazy. But yeah, to answer your question, I definitely, I think I was so hyper-focused on being good at skateboarding that I wouldn't allow the distractions to interfere with that in terms of partying and sort of going too far in excess, because it was like I saw my peers partying the night before an event and then they couldn't skate the next day. And there was like, skating is what brought us here. Skating is the reason that we came to this town. How could you let that slip through your fingers? That was more my attitude.
I think there are a lot of people that are nursing hangovers right now that can relate to that. It is remarkable to see how, an industry can bring people together. I mean, Bitcoin has always done that. I mean, I remember in the early days of crypto when I was, one of the younger entrepreneur CEOs, and I would often be at like a speaker dinner, and I would be the only liberal in the room. Like everybody was an anarchist or a cypherpunk or libertarian, but they all accepted me. There was this sense of acceptance towards a shared mutual goal of getting to where we are today and just constantly taking the industry forward. And I want to go to your video game because obviously that was this landmark point in time where all of a sudden millions of young people and old were suddenly really exposed to skateboarding for the first time. And just like I think this weekend is this huge catalyst for people really appreciating the breadth of this industry, what was that like, that moment where you got approached to make a skateboarding video game with your name on it?
Well, it was exciting. It was also a daunting idea that somehow we're going to emulate skateboarding in a video game. And I was excited because I grew up playing video games, and I always loved technology. So the last video game that had been around was Skate or Die for Commodore 64. Old people, let's hear it. Thank you. there had been there's a huge gap from anything that included skateboarding, except for the arcade game Top Skater. So when Activision approached me about doing a game, they already had an engine going. They already had little minimal tricks, basic tricks, ollies, kickflips and stuff. And when I saw their engine, I thought, this is it. This could actually represent skateboarding well, you know, given my input and the resources I have and all the skaters that I know. I feel like we could make this something. The goal for the video game was to make it something that skateboarders would be inspired to buy a PlayStation to play. That was it. Like that, as far as I was concerned, that was the huge market success. That skaters saw it, they were proud of it, and they were like, I want to play that game. I need to get a console. And then little did I know it would resonate way beyond skateboarding and just video gamers in general. And then before we knew it, we were on to the sequel. And I feel like that was the moment where I realized we had something way beyond what I imagined, was when they started talking about doing a sequel.
Right, and then many more after that.
Many more, yeah.
Do we have a new one coming?
Well, we just released last year Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remaster. We do not have anything officially. I know there have been rumors, but I'm here to tell you nothing is official right now.
I'm ready. I need a new one.
I'm ready too.
You know,
can we get you guys to spam Activision? Try to get the ball rolling.
Or just buy Activision.
Yes, let's not just buy Activision.
Hostile takeover by Bitcoiners. And as that video game kind of went mainstream in the late 90s and early 2000s, do you think it changed the industry? Skateboarding, did it bring it to a broader audience?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And was there a shift in the demographics at any point where you kind of noticed, oh my God, this isn't just, you know, a bunch of young white guys from California?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely changed. It got much more inclusive. There was a lot broader spectrum of people that were interested in it because they played the game, and hopefully because we had good representation in the game as well. And so it really leveled